Hello everyone, and we are live. Now, welcome back to my monthly live stream. First, I would like to say that I'm pretty ill at the moment, so I can't hear very clearly, so I apologise if I'm shouting at you. Okay, so I'll probably wait a bit to see if people turn up before I continue with anything. So yes, I'm unfortunately very full of cold, even though I just got rid of a cold at the end of last month. So I am ever so slightly annoyed about that. But what can you do? Hey, I've got one person watching, well that's always a bonus. Oh, that's good. That is very, very good. So I'll probably wait a bit and see if anybody else comes along. So today I was going to talk about DILD and WILD, my experiences with both, what I prefer, and hopefully hear from some of you if people do join. Hey, hello Nate. Yeah, hopefully hear from people what techniques you regularly employ. I'll also be talking about this month's task of the month, and again, hopefully hearing from you guys if you took part and you completed it. If you aren't able to watch this stream today, you can always leave a comment telling me if you did it or not. And as ever, we will be having a think about next month's task. So, again, I'm probably going to wait a little bit just to see how many more people turn up. Unfortunately, I don't quite have the viewership that we have over on Team Lucid Dream. But that's another thing I'm hoping to address as well, is I'm very close to 200 subs. And, well, I'm very close to 200 subs, and I'm hoping I will achieve that very, very soon. My goal is to maybe have 1,000 subs by the end of the year, but I'm not sure if I'm being a bit ambitious there, because unfortunately it seems to be quite hard having a lucid dreaming YouTube channel, because it's quite a niche thing really, even though a lot of people seem to be into lucid dreaming. I don't know, I kind of find it's difficult to keep viewers really, because I think, as I've said before, and I know we said on Team Lucid Dream, that a lot of people get into lucid dreaming and it's this sort of novelty thing where they're really excited about it for a little while, and then their interest kind of dies off and they don't continue doing it. So you find a lot of people kind of disappear from your YouTube channel. So yeah, I mean, I'd hope to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. I mean, we're already a third of the way through 2017, which is quite scary. But that is the goal. So, moving on to what I was going to talk about, which is DILD and WILD, and what techniques I prefer to use. Personally, I have always been more in favour of DILD, and Um, I think that's because, like, when I first started learning about lucid dreaming, I was always told that that was the easier option and the option that beginners tended to go for. So I kind of ignored all the things that were related to wake-induced lucid dreaming. And again, I'd always kind of heard that wake-induced lucid dreaming was like really, really difficult to do. So again, I wanted to steer clear of that and go for what I thought was the easier option. Now obviously with dream-induced lucid dreaming, there is a great deal of daytime practice, and that can be pretty overwhelming in itself. Remembering to do reality checks, remembering to constantly be dream journaling, and it kind of feels like you have to spend a large portion of your day and of your time just thinking about lucid dreaming and focusing on lucid dreaming in order to get any kind of results. And it was only recently that I've kind of been more interested in wake-induced lucid dreaming. As Nate said, yeah, for naps, I'd always found it quite easy to have a wake-induced lucid dream during a nap. I'm not quite sure what the reasons are for that, but I guess when I nap, I tend to kind of drift in and out of sleep, so it's quite easy to drift directly into a dream. But I've always kind of found that when I lucid dream during naps, they tend to be a bit blurry. I don't seem to have the same level of awareness and control that I might have during the night. But I have started to look more into wake-induced lucid dreaming. Geo, as you all know from Team Lucid Dream, I was looking through his website and he had some tips about wake-induced lucid dreaming, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go, and I've had kind of some success with it. The problem that I always find is I never know when to wake up. I've never been able to find the right time to wake up during the night, and also, if I have even one night of bad sleep, it can really, really mess with my mental state. So that's another reason why I kind of steered clear of wild, because I didn't want to jeopardize, my sleep in order to do that. But I've kind of found, for me, it's usually like around the 6-hour mark that is best for me to attempt a wild. And yeah, I've had kind of some decent success recently. What I've been doing is like counting as I'm falling asleep. Now on Geo's site, lucidsource.net, he suggests counting up to 100, but what I've been doing is just counting to 10 and then repeating, because I find it a lot easier to do that. And actually, it was quite funny. The other night, I was attempting to wild again, and I thought I'll repeat a mantra as I go to sleep. I will say to myself, "I'm lucid. I'm lucid." Seemed easy enough. But then, as I was kind of drifting off into sleep, I realised that I had somehow changed that mantra to "I'm stupid," and that was very funny. Hello, Dutchick. It's good to see you here. I'm quite ill at the moment, so apologise if I'm slightly groggy, and if I'm shouting at you, it's because I can't really hear very well. So for that, I apologise. So yeah, I've been trying to do more wake-induced stuff. I'm finding that the level of awareness, the level of vividness, and the overall level of control doesn't seem to differ that much from a dream-induced lucid dream. I've heard a lot of people say that with wilds they have a better sense of awareness, but I haven't found there to be any difference really. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been trying to do recently. But I think I still prefer dream-induced lucid dreaming, perhaps because I've been doing it for so long that it's sort of become second nature to me now. As I've mentioned before, I don't have to do as much daytime practice. You know, my daytime routine isn't as strict as it used to be, and I feel like it's really sort of paid off, which I know is kind of an annoyance, I guess, when you first start lucid dreaming and you choose to do dream-induced lucid dreaming, is just how much of a routine you need to have, really. Like, I'd never really been that good with reality checks. Like, even now, like, I do slack off quite a bit with reality checks. But again, as I think I've probably said a million times before, for me, the most important thing about a reality check is the awareness that you get from the reality check. Because that's it, really. You know, when you do a reality check, usually something has alerted you to the fact that you need to do a reality check. So if you see a dream sign, or if you have like oh no, what have I done to my pen? If you have, or you have like an app on your phone, like an what's the word I'm looking for? Like an alarm on your phone or whatever to kind of remind you to do reality checks. You know, it's that initial bit of awareness that you get, and then I find the reality check just confirms things for you. They don't necessarily. The reality check in itself doesn't help you become lucid. It's the awareness that you get, and then the reality check is like the confirmation that you are or aren't dreaming. So I've never placed a massive amount of importance in the reality check. I've always just focused on the awareness that I get from them. So yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what else I can say about my experiences with DILD and WILD. I'm still going to be practicing WILD more often. I'll probably make a video about that, documenting my success and struggles with it. But I still feel a massive connection to DILD, because I find that moment in the dream when you realise you're dreaming is really rewarding. I find it. I feel like I've seen through the Matrix. You know, like I suddenly realise everything around me is a dream, and it's quite an empowering feeling. So yeah, I mean, I know we've only got 3 people watching, but if anybody has anything they want to say on the matter, if they what they've found works for them, what they prefer to do, what techniques they've found to be the most helpful, then feel free to you know, write them down. Two people watching. Okay, this is this is right. Okay, it's quite difficult to have a conversation with yourself. Actually, it's no, I can handle it. So I don't know if anyone has done the task of the month. The task of the month was to, oh god, what was it? Oh yeah, to get to space in the most creative way possible. And I did this pretty early on in the month, although I wasn't very creative about it, in all honesty, because I'm actually really scared of space. I don't like going to space in dreams. I'm just scared of space. I don't know, it's very, very daunting. I believe I had this conversation with James on the TLD live stream that we did a couple of weeks back, and I think I actually mentioned what I did in the dream, but I was having a regular dream. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember what made me lucid, but, sorry, I keep sniffing, and it's very unattractive. But I got lucid, and I remembered that I needed to go to space. And my initial thought was, I'll use a trampoline. Right, that seems like a good idea. But as I was on the trampoline, I found I couldn't get higher than the normal height one would reach with a trampoline. And the next thing I did instead was I kind of used my old trick that I used when getting to Eden, and that was to find a door and to go through the door and to be in space. And that's what I did. I found the nearest door, I went through it, and I found myself on this sort of like space station on an asteroid. And there was quite a lot of people around. There was some sort of alien humanoid type beings. And I remember there was just this bar, this like soda bar, and I thought, wow, I might as well go get a drink whilst I'm here. And that was pretty much the extent of my journey to space. So I didn't, it wasn't the most creative way, just going through a door, but it worked. So that's that was the task of the month for me. So checking the comments, I don't have any technique I find helpful, not that many LDs either. But I'm bad at falling asleep, so dialed is what I go for. Yeah, that's the problem. If you don't have a great sleep cycle, or you struggle to fall asleep, that was a problem that I had with Wild for a while. Was just not being able to, like I said, just finding the right time to wake up and how much time I needed in order to sort of successfully go back to sleep and go straight into a dream. Hello Unlost, good to have you here. I do apologise again if I'm a bit snuffly and I keep sniffing a lot. I'm just bunged up, unfortunately. I think in the beginning, reality checks were the thing that I did a lot in the beginning. I tried meditation for a while as well, but I was never really I never really stuck with it. I think, again, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this with James in the live stream that we did together. With meditation, I'd always kind of had this misconception that I needed to completely empty my mind of any thoughts. And so when I was sat there attempting to meditate and clear my mind, I got quite disheartened that I wasn't able to just enter this state of a completely blank mind. Then I realised later on that obviously there are different types of meditation, but I realised sort of later on that it wasn't necessarily about clearing your mind. It was just sort of becoming detached from your own thoughts, and not really just sort of being a passive observer of your own thoughts, really. And again, I kind of should meditate more, but I get bored, if I'm honest. I get bored. Yeah, I've said it. I only had one lucid dream, and it was pretty low lucidity level. Well, I mean, how long have you been trying, Nate, and what kind of things have you been trying to do? My sleep cycle is good, just not how it should optimally be. Naturally, falling asleep just takes really long for me because of that. Ever since I'm born. Oh, I scratched my nose. That hurt. Yeah, I struggle to fall asleep. It usually takes me between like an hour and 2 hours to actually fall asleep. I have been using Deeper Sleep by Vivid Dream. I did a review of this product a couple of weeks ago. People at Vivid Dream were very kind to send me these over to review. And even though I've kind of always said that I don't really like using supplements, but at the same time, I'm not against them. I don't know where I was going with that sentence. I'm sorry, my brain completely shut off. Yeah, I gave these a go. And what I found with these was they helped me fall asleep a lot quicker, which was the thing that I was really looking for. Well, because once I'm asleep, I'm sort of fine. I'm asleep, but just clocking off on a night is difficult. My brain is far too whatever this gesture means. It's far too, and my brain is always far too active. I can't seem to shut it off. And one thing that happens quite a lot actually is I get this thing that I call my head radio. I basically it's almost as if someone is flicking through radio stations rapidly, and you know, I can hear static, I can hear bits of conversation, I can hear bits of music, and I can hear it. I can audibly I don't know what the right word is. I can hear it, but I can also feel it inside my head. And sometimes it's actually quite helpful for falling asleep because it can be sort of like white noise, and it can kind of help. Other times it's just like I'd really rather I wasn't experiencing this. One of the funniest things I heard whilst I was having this experience was someone say, "Watch out for polar bears," and I actually started working on an animation called "Watch Out for Polar Bears," which was to promote a voice hearing group. But then, unfortunately, that group was shut down due to not having many members, and that animation never saw the light of day. I've been kept pretty busy with school and work. Yeah, when I was in college, it was like I couldn't keep a good schedule with lucid dreaming. You know, if your mind is more occupied on work and school, then it's quite difficult to kind of keep at it. Definitely improved once I was out of college. I know Millen at the moment. He said that the only time he really gets lucid these days is during naps, because obviously he's working very hard with all his college stuff at the moment. But actually, I might make a video on that about sort of navigating, you know, stress and work and a lucid dreaming schedule. I'll have to check my dream journal from when I was in college, because I know I used to make a lot more notes back then about my overall sleep patterns and things during the day that I think may have influenced my dreams. So I'll have to check that over. Yeah, melatonin. You see, I'm not sure what the laws are about melatonin in the UK anymore, because I was under the impression that you can't buy it over the counter, and you need a prescription. I nearly said subscription. You need a prescription for melatonin here, because I used to be on melatonin for a while, and then I hadn't been on it for ages. I went back to my GP. I asked her, you know, for some melatonin, and she said that they no longer prescribed it. That you could only get it prescribed at a hospital. I don't know. Either way, I couldn't get it anymore, and I'm pretty sure you aren't allowed to buy it over the counter. But again, I've heard people say you can get it on eBay. I don't know if it's a bit of a dodgy thing, if it's proper or not. But yeah, melatonin was pretty good. I don't have. You make melatonin when you sleep. Well, yeah, that's kind of you do make melatonin when you sleep, or when you're falling asleep as well, I think. But it definitely helps with falling asleep if you're struggling to sleep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can just buy it over the counter in the US. Why we have these different laws, I don't know. We just do. It is beyond my power and control. But on the same note, there, serpents, we do have free healthcare. We do have the NHS, which is slowly falling apart, but at least we have that. I was going to go on to the whole election, but then I realised that nobody here is British and won't care about the election. And even if you are British, I don't think you've come here to hear about my political stance. So I just won't talk about it. Yeah. Struggling again. You can buy it over the counter, but only at a very low dose. But my dose is high. I have a prescription, and because of my age and other things, checkups in hospital. Alright, okay. I did take Zopiclone for a while, but that's you're supposed to only like take it for like 2 weeks because it can be highly addictive, and again that's one you have to get prescribed. I remember when I came off quetiapine, I had like the most horrendous withdrawal symptoms. It was just, I've never been that ill in my life. I came off it and my doctor's instructions, I cut down, and then I felt okay for like 2 days, but then suddenly it hit me that I was really not feeling well. I was really, really sick. I was not sleeping at all. And then I remember one night just crying on the bathroom floor because the front of my body was excruciatingly hot, but the back of my body was like freezing, like I had never been that cold in my life. And I was convinced it was not possible for a human being to be this cold and survive. So I was sort of on the bathroom floor like, I don't know what to do. And then my mum had gone away camping, and I was trying to ring her. I don't know what she would have done. She wasn't there, but I couldn't get through to her. It was just, there was a lot of rolling back and forth on the floor, and yes, it wasn't pretty. You would have thought I was coming off heroin or something. No, I was just coming off quetiapine, but the insomnia I got from that as well was just absolutely horrendous. So I got put on Zopiclone for a bit, and that took care of the problem. But yeah, that's definitely a prescription drug. First, it was a psychiatrist, if that's the right word, because of ADHD medication. I was also then terrible at sleep, so I just got it then. Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I don't really like taking supplements and stuff, just because I don't want to sort of rely on something external. Although I will take, supplements from time to time. I definitely like the stuff that Vivid Dream do, their Lucid Escape supplement. I've had quite good success with that, particularly like during lucid dreaming dry spells. That has really, really helped. It doesn't guarantee that I'm going to get lucid, and a lot of the time, it doesn't. It just kind of makes my dreams vivid, but I don't kind of have that extra bit of awareness that I need. So yeah, I kind of keep those for when I need help, really, with getting lucid. But if you find you're struggling with lucid dreaming, I mean, it is very frustrating when it feels like you're putting in work and you're not getting anything out of it, and particularly in the beginning, you might have pretty low level lucid dreams, pretty low level of control and awareness, and it might not feel like it's really worth putting in all that work for something that doesn't really feel that good, I guess. And it took me a good year to really sort of have a decent lucid dream. Like for the first year, it was more like I'd kind of get the sense that I was dreaming but didn't quite break through that barrier, or I'd be lucid and I didn't have much awareness or control, or if I managed to get what felt like quite a high level of lucidity, the whole dream would just like fall apart within seconds. And I did give up for like a 6-month period, and that was sort of during college, because there was just so much work to do that that's where my focus needed to be. Oh dear, apparently my video output is low. Oh, and now I'm offline. Oh dear. Right, apparently my connection is very, very bad. I'm sorry if you can't see me. Oh. Boom. Right, I'm back. People in the house using my internet connection. How dare they? Oh, I missed the bin. Right. No idea what I was talking about. No idea what I was talking about. No, that wasn't what I was talking about. College. When I was in college. Yeah, gave up for like a 6-month period. Didn't seem worth it. But then I kind of... Because what happened was I was going to go to uni straight after college. But then I thought to myself... I didn't want to go... I needed a break from education. It really wasn't doing me any good. Like, mentally I was kind of struggling with a lot of stuff, and I felt for me I needed time to just kind of figure out if I really wanted to go. And so I kind of postponed my... I can't remember what the correct term is, but the university basically said, yeah, you can move, you can start the year after if you want to do that instead. So I had this year where I was going to figure out what I wanted to do, and because I had that time, it was easier to get back into lucid dreaming. But then I never went to university. But that's a different story for a different day. But yeah, absolutely, like, college and school is difficult. Like, it's so time consuming. Like, the amount of work you've got to put in. Like, because it was a full-time course that I did. I studied video game design, but it was only like 3 days a week. There were sort of long days, but there were 3 days a week, so I had 4 days free. But I pretty much spent all of those 4 days working solidly on college stuff. And because I'm really crap at being around people, I very rarely did any work at college. So I'd kind of end up spending all my free time doing that work instead. lucid dreaming is hard. I'm in high school though, not college. Well, you know, high school's still hard. I mean, you may not have as much demand. Well, you might do. I mean, I high school was just the worst place in the world for me. Like, I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand being around people. I just couldn't stand being around people. What can I say? But you have all my sympathy there, because no, don't like high school. Being creative with your schedule helps. I mean, actually, in some ways, like, because I was doing video game design, even though I wasn't really getting lucid much, I did kind of find, because I was doing something that was very creative and imaginative, that kind of did encourage me a bit with lucid dreaming, because I figured oh, sorry, I just burped all over the live stream. I figured that you know, the inspiration I get from a lucid dream could help me with video game design. But yeah, I still really struggled to kind of get lucid during those years. What do you study, Nate? What do you study? I just had another thought, and it just, as soon as it came into my head, it straight out the other side. What was I going to say? I apologise that when my brain goes a bit dead like this, it must be very boring to sit there and watch, and for that I greatly apologise. Well, I might as well. I mean, I was going to continue doing video game design at university. That was the plan. I got into a pretty good university for that, but I just ended up not going. Because I started drawing seriously once I'd left college, and well, no, I'd started drawing seriously before then, but my artwork was, you know, it was alright. But then once I'd left and I had that year away from education that I planned, I was drawing more and I was learning more, and there wasn't like a you know, there wasn't like a pressure or a deadline that I had to sort of stick to, so I could spend as much time as I wanted, really. Kind of working on drawings, and then I got pretty good, if I do say so myself. When it came to the end of that year and I was meant to be going to uni, there were several problems which prevented me from going, and I was kind of relieved actually, because I was pretty sure I didn't want to go, and being that I wasn't able to go due to certain reasons at that point, I was actually kind of relieved, and then I just kind of stuck with drawing, and that's kind of what I do. I mean, I'd say I do it as a job, but that's probably inaccurate as a description. I often tell people that I'm a freelance artist, which is a more desirable way of saying that I am unemployed. Oh, thank you very much, Nate. That really does mean something. And you're studying psychology. Switch from computer science. Current plan is to become a psychiatrist. Pretty good. I did study psychology for a little bit when I was in sixth form. Because that was actually something that I wanted to do as well. That had kind of been a dream of mine, I suppose. Early on, was to kind of go into that field. I think the only sort of things that we covered all that, whilst I was studying psychology, was attachment theory and memory. And I found the memory one to be like incredibly boring, and in the end I just stopped doing psychology. But that's really cool. That's really cool. So I'm kind of I'm really happy that I did video game design, but part of me now is wondering if I would have benefited. No, I'm glad that I did it. But it's like there's a lot of stuff that I really like physics, but in school I hated physics, so I never paid attention in my physics lessons. Maths, I was terrible at maths. I had a terrible maths teacher. I couldn't stand maths. But now that I'm away from that environment, I kind of wish I knew how to do maths. And I kind of like it, even though, we're talking very basic stuff. But it's like a lot of stuff that we did learn at school. I guess just the whole education environment and the system and some of the teachers just made it so you really weren't interested in what you were doing. So part of me almost feels annoyed for not paying more attention in those lessons, but then on the other hand, I had a lot of mental health stuff going on, so it's not, I could only do as much as I could have done at that point. But yeah, perhaps there was a few missed opportunities. I don't know. Interestingly though, like with lucid dreaming at the moment, I have been asking dream characters how I can be successful, and I've written it down, but off the top of my head I can't remember what they said or what their advice was. But it was basically, hang on, let me have a look in my notes. Yeah, a lot of the dream characters that I was talking to were saying basically to kind of stay true to what I believe in, to be different from the rest of the people out there who are doing similar stuff. Kind of things like that. I mean, stuff that, people in real life have already told me. Although one dream character did say to maybe not put so much focus into YouTube, because it's a lot harder to crack these days. There's a lot of people doing it. But so I'm not sure if I'll take his advice on that matter, because I do enjoy doing this. I mean, a handful of people watch my videos. Obviously I'm not as popular as Giz Edwards, who has like 45,000 subscribers or something, which is absolutely, like, for a lucid dreaming channel, is pretty phenomenal. I'm not quite sure how he's done that. I'm gonna have to study his videos and learn a few techniques from him, I think. But I'm actually really enjoying doing this, even if I probably get like between 40 and 80 views per video, depending on the subject matter. You guys are still here, so I mean, that's something. And you're still watching me today, so again, thank you. That's it makes me feel good about myself that you stuck around. So, what else did the dream characters tell me? Yeah. One dream character told me not to be foolish. I don't really know what he meant by it. Well, obviously he means don't be foolish, but obviously I didn't know in what context, like, don't be foolish in terms of like what, I don't know. But yeah, that's an experiment that I've been doing. Just trying to ask dream characters what I should do with my life, and hope that they have a better understanding and better whatever than I do. that's just another way of lucid dreaming being used for something more than just messing around, really. Do you have any idea how to get to I never know if it's hypnagogic or hypnagogic imagery. I don't really experience that, to be honest. I don't think it's with wild. I'm assuming you mean it in terms of inducing a lucid dream through wild. If I've got that wrong, then feel free to correct me. I seem to skip out those stages. I don't get sleep paralysis. I don't really get the hypnagogic or gogic imagery. I seem to just it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain what it's like, really. But once I'm comfortable, I just sort of feel myself go straight into the dream. But I don't really experience that stage of it. So I'm not quite sure if I can help you with that one. Might be a question for Geo, or one that you can post on Tuesday's live stream on TLD if you want to. But unfortunately, I don't have that experience, so I don't know how well I can help you with that question. I mean, I do get sleep paralysis, but not when it comes to lucid dreaming. Not like with like wake-induced lucid dreaming. A lot of people say you have to go into a sleep paralysis stage first, which isn't true. And in fact, tomorrow's Team Lucid Dream video will be about wild, and kind of talking about that. So, feel free to check that one out. But I do sometimes get sleep paralysis when I wake up on a morning, and I've never actually used it to have a lucid dream. I've kind of... I'm always a bit too scared, it's that thing with sleep paralysis, isn't it? It's always, even if you know that you're not going to get killed or hurt, there's still that bit of fear there. But I have kind of got better at oh god, my brain's gone again. Yeah, I've kind of got better at the whole scary visual side of sleep paralysis. Like, now I've got to a point where I can pretty much relax myself during sleep paralysis and not feel too scared, and so I don't get all the kind of scary visual stuff that usually accompanies sleep paralysis. And I can now kind of change it into more friendly stuff. I guess a lot of the time sleep paralysis kind of follows your mental state. So if you're anxious or you're scared, you kind of see a lot more scary things. That makes things worse. But I've had quite a few funny sleep paralysis moments, actually. Yeah, again, I'm really sorry for Lauren that I haven't really got a great deal of information on that. But it isn't vital. It isn't vital to go into that stage. People seem to it's very different. It's different from person to person. Some people will find that they do get that imagery, and that imagery then helps them to go into the dream. Some people will have that feeling or sensation of sleep paralysis before they enter the dream. But for me, I've just found that I maybe those stages do occur, but I'm not really aware of it. I've been quite fortunate that with the majority of my wilds that I've kind of just seamlessly gone into the dream. But again, a lot of that I find is just finding the right amount of time when you wake up. The problem that I've always had is, like, if I wake up for too long, my mind starts whirling, my mind starts buzzing. impossible for me to go back to sleep because there's just so much going on in my head, and getting relaxed and getting into the right state just doesn't seem to happen. So I've kind of found that maybe like 15 minutes is a good time for me to kind of stay awake for if I'm going to attempt a wild. Like anywhere between like 5 and 15 minutes for me. Some people need to stay awake for like an hour. You know, again, it's a very personal, very individual thing. Brain's gone dead again. Did I already mention this? I probably did. That napping, I find wilds a lot easier to do whilst I'm having a nap. Because I just sort of naturally drift in and out of sleep during a nap. So I find that more often than not, it's kind of easy or easier to just kind of end up slipping into a dream. So again, you know, I hope something. What am I saying? Oh my god, I'm even more. So I don't even have a word for what I'm trying to say. I'm even more struggling with thoughts today than normal, just because I feel so ill. Which I had a cold last month. It took so long to get rid of that cold, and now I've got one this month. I didn't think it was possible to have like 2 colds within such close proximity of each other. But there you have that, I suppose. Does anybody have any ideas for next month's task of the month? It doesn't necessarily have to be like doing something within a lucid dream. If you have a task to maybe, I mean, we could try a task of trying to have a wild, for example, or like for a lot of you, I know, like if you're not a regular lucid dreamer, even just having a lucid dream could be the task of the month. You know, I want to be as inclusive as possible, really, and make sure that everybody has a fair shot at things. I'm fairly certain at this stage that we are gonna move this kind of task of the month thing to Team Lucid Dream. We're kind of gonna mix around with the formula, see what people want to do with it. Because really, what we want to do is motivate people with their lucid dreaming. Because it's all well and good that we do tutorials and advice videos, and you know, we have the live stream and everything, but you know, a big thing with lucid dreaming is motivation. It's so easy to lose motivation. It's so easy to kind of give up. So I think we kind of want to do something where, you know, we can encourage you and motivate you and help you set goals, and you know, be able to have a back and forth dialogue and, you know, stuff like that. My friend said first sleep for 1 hour and then wild. Is that true? Probably not. When you sleep, you have, like, you know, sleep cycles, and as the night goes on, your REM periods get longer, and you know, typically you dream during those REM periods. So you have more chance later on in the night because your REM periods have gotten longer. And when you enter the dream state, when you try and have a wake back to bed or a wild, ideally, you know, you're trying to go directly into REM sleep so that you can dream. So 1 hour of sleep probably isn't gonna be enough. I mean, you might find that you can do it, but it might not be as it probably won't be as easy, and the dream might be a bit shorter. I mean, with a nap, when I nap, I'll usually nap for like 2 hours, and it's usually toward the end of that 2 hours where I will be able to have a wake-induced lucid dream, but they are kind of blurry. But again, you kind of have to experiment with it. You know, we all work in different ways. But yeah, it's best to, they say usually between 4 to 6 hours of sleep is sort of like the sort of best window of opportunity. As I think I said earlier, for me, I kind of find it's around the 6 hour mark that I have the best chance of having a wake-induced lucid dream. I do apologise, I'm going to have to blow my nose. But you know, I'm not always successful in doing it. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. My brain is either a bit too awake or I just fall asleep. You know, I'm still trying to find my balance because obviously, as I've said, wake-induced lucid dreaming is not my first choice when it comes to lucid dreaming. I've always been a dream-induced lucid dreaming kind of guy. So I'm kind of going through a bit of a journey there myself in finding out what works for me with wake-induced lucid dreaming. So I mean, I don't think anybody managed to get that task done, and as I said, it's you know, it's fine. I know a lot of you struggle or don't have that many lucid dreams. Hang on a sec. Oh. So yeah, there's no pressure to take part in these things if you don't want to do them. But if anybody has any ideas of anything that they'd want to try as a task, then you know, feel free to let me know, I guess. Otherwise, I'll just come up with something myself. You know, try and keep it as simple as possible. Or what I might do is, you know, I might have like different levels. Maybe like a more beginner level task, and then a whatever the level above beginner is task. So I can think of something there. As I said, if anyone's got any suggestions or anything that they'd like to see, then let me know. Also, as well, I mean, I might as well ask if there's any sort of videos you'd like to see from me. You know, obviously, I'm trying to make videos that are as on point and relevant as possible. So if there's any kind of topics that you'd want covered more in depth, or if there's just, you know, there's anything you'd like to hear from me, then, you know, feel free to let me know. I mean, I've pretty much got next month's videos kind of sorted out in my head. There should be some good stuff in there, hopefully. I've got this animation that I've been working on for like the last 2 months, which is nearly done. It's nearly done, and I'm hoping by next week it will be done. So expect to see that. Which the animation is kind of based a bit around dreaming. Hey, James is here. Sorry, that was a very lackluster hey. But yes, hello. I've nearly been doing this for an hour. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So I mean, I probably won't stick around for much longer. But yeah, anything, any comments, any questions, anything at all that you want to write? now would be your chance. Silence. Okay. Should think of something to say. Oh, hello. Now I'm thinking I'm gonna change my live period to 8 o'clock because for some reason people always seem to join like at the end of the stream. And I know the last 2 times that I've streamed, Redox always pops in as I'm saying goodbye. They haven't popped in yet, but I probably will maybe reschedule things. 8 o'clock here would be 9 o'clock in Belgium, and a different time in America. I have a task for myself to try horse riding in a dream because it's the closest to flying, I think, from waking life, and I love it. But it should be easy for me since I do it and I know it. Closest thing to flying? Well, possibly. I've never ridden a horse. I don't like horses, if I'm honest. I've always been kind of scared of them. I think just because I don't know why. There's something about the equine that strikes fear into my soul. I don't mind a cow, though. Cows are alright. I don't think you can ride a cow. You ride a bull. What the fuck am I talking about? 3, I wish I made it sooner. I was sleeping for the longest time. Well, yeah, you do. You seem to sleep forever. I never... I never know what... Wait, I don't know what I'm saying. Oh. Surely a roller coaster is closer to flying than a horse ride. I mean, there's a pretty good roller coaster at Alton Towers, which this will mean nothing to you, but it's called Air, and you know you sit in it and like it tilts you forward, so like you're sort of laying forward, and that's kind of like flying. That's about as close to flying in real life that I've ever got. I take advantage of the weekends, trying to be an adult now. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's Sunday, isn't it? Of course it's Sunday. I'm completely all over the place today, and for that I do apologise. I do apologise. Not that I ever really make a great deal of sense any other time, really. Yeah, especially jumping doesn't matter, Max. Many people are afraid of horses. You can't ride a cow. They are not that trainable, and probably uncomfortable, because they are square. Hey, now, Dreamcatcher, you know what I'm talking about. It's a good ride. It's a pretty good ride. I haven't been to Alton Towers in a while. I think it was about 2 years ago that I went. Repeatedly went on the Smiler. Really good ride. I think it's been completely closed down now since a few people lost their legs in an accident. Still, I still quite like roller coasters, even though you could potentially lose a limb or two. Yes, cows are square. I will remember that. Okay. So I kind of feel I may have officially run out of things to say. I'm slightly delirious from being unwell, and before everything falls apart at the seams, I'm probably going to call it a night on this live stream. But I have enjoyed it. To all those people who have stuck around for the last hour and 5 minutes, thank you very much. You are very, very patient people. Yes, so as far as task of the month goes, I will come up with something. I will probably do 2 separate tasks, a more beginner kind of level, and then a slightly higher than beginner level. I don't know what the right word is for more than a beginner. Intermediate, perhaps. Yeah, so I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much for watching. Possibly next month I will go live at 8 o'clock instead. Seems that more people are around at that time, and that means there's less of me struggling to find things to talk about. So yes, thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Max, aka the RaRaRabbit, and I'll see you in the next video.